Hi everyone, welcome back. So day 3, and now we're going to do the brown. Although this is supposed to still be quite watery, and I can still put a bit of water with it. I don't want a lot of brown, just shades and little hints of it. Because we've finished with the black wash, so I'm going to start adding some nice details to it now. Let's see how it takes shape. So this is the consistency we've gone for. It was quite thick, still is fairly thick to be fair. We don't want lots on our brush like that. We're gonna just take some of that off, and just gonna use some sort of random sweeping motion, just really sort of spread that through. So it's not essential that it gets everywhere. Especially once we've gone over it with our greys as well. So we applied the brown, and I've done it more so in some places than I have in others, so not very much on here, and as it sort of gets more into the corner, a bit darker still. I've done it heavier on the top here because, well, I've got two sort of factory type of buildings. I want it to be like it's been leveled off, machined off, which is why we've got more of that brown exposing through, but some of that will get taken away from the grey and the white once applied. It's picked up a nice few accents on there as well, and I'm looking forward to putting the grey on in a moment. Probably going to leave this for about 30 minutes to an hour max. It's not going to need any longer than that because it's almost like a dry brush technique. When applying this, you don't want too much. So it should dry pretty quickly, and then I can start putting some greys on. So I was going to go for the grey first, but this is actually quite a vivid colour, and we only want a tiny hint of this. I'm going to do this one first. You see, it is quite a strong colour to be going against those. And rather than the big brush, I'm going to use this little art brush. It's probably got maybe half an inch head on it, just to get some tiny little details really sort of onto some of those surfaces, because I just want it to just pick up this colour, and I don't need much of it, so we'll do that bit now. Okay, so that's with our amber colour applied. I mean, you can see there's patches of it. Of course, it's not going to stay like that when the grey and the white comes on there as well, but I needed to have certain patches in it just so it would come through a bit more when it's blended in. So we've got liberal amounts, the same as the patch there. I mean, there's going to be a building that covers some of that, and we just want it to radiate out from there. So I put the paint in the middle and then sort of brushed it out from there, and it's starting to take shape properly now. I mean, you can you can see what it's going to be, and we've got quite a few contrasts, especially as I didn't allow the brown paint to dry completely before putting the amber on. Some of it was blended together, so we've got some of these darker patches here, which was the combination of the two versus like there where you got the brown on its own, and of course the lighter bits there with the amber as well. It's a bit brighter there as well because it's still fairly wet, but you can see that there are big contrasts there with blacks and greys and browns already. So we're going to do the Creative Deco grey soon. I just need to give that a chance to dry. And again, the method of this is going to be very similar in the fact that we're going to dry brush it. We don't want a brush soaking wet. We put it in, we scrape it off, we apply it to the surface, because the idea of your black wash is that it gets to the like the deep parts, the hard to penetrate parts, and we're just going over the top with the grey. But pleased with it so far. So we've done our grey now. 2 coats. It was really thick. It was probably more suitable, although it was an acrylic paint, it's probably more suitable for troweling on, for that style of acrylic painting. And it didn't really like being watered down. It probably wasn't the best paint I've ever used, to be fair. But it's done a job. You can see we've got some nice contrast. I mean, there's more grey there, as I didn't put any other colours on that. It appears to be soaking in to the polystyrene there as well. Not ideal. Some bits under there that need working in as well, where they're a bit thick. But it is giving this really nice contrast with the blacks, the browns. But it definitely does seem to be seeping further into the polystyrene than what was expected. So I'm going to definitely let this dry completely first, because the next colour is white, and if that is seeping into the polystyrene and turning it very white, and it may go, then I might not need as much white as expected, and I may need another grey coat, because there's bits like this that were certainly covered. The residue's still there, but it's not really showing on the polystyrene. Not going to be much of an issue, because I do intend to put a snow blanket on the top and cut that down so it comes down a little bit over the front. But obviously I need it still to be grey, and it really does seem to be seeping in, unlike any of the other colours, which is strange. So I think it might just be a not very good brand of paint for this type of application. But worst comes to worst, I've got the blacks, I've got the whites, I can mix the two together, make some more grey and reapply if need be. We just have to see what happens. Welcome back to day 6 here. Not much has really happened on the mountain here, because I've been too busy printing off houses and shops and that like this. Been just working on the estate agents and Blockbuster store, and also the Santa Shake Shack. And although it says Elf Petroleum, we changed the name of that to North Petroleum. It's North Petroleum actually. It's a petrol gas station, depending on your location. So that's been pretty flat out. What I did manage to get done though is by adding the white acrylic, just dry brushing on to accent the edges and any of the faces that may have caught a bit of snow, which is really good, because it really sort of pops now with that white. It does look like it's got a bit of snow covering, and some of that detail will be lost, of course, once the snow blanket goes on there, but it's better to have it on there in case it is seen than to not have it on there. So the plan for today, need to make the holes through our base, then start running our leads. I've started to do it there, but obviously we've got to do it on that one, so need to do those and come through the other side. And for all the other buildings that we're going in, we need to go in underneath on that sheet all the way through, and probably start work on that base if possible. What I am going to cheat compared to my original idea of printing off brick walls, we're going to use some of the Lemax bricks on a roll and put that to a bit of this board, as it's sturdy enough for what we need, and can attach that to it. That's going to save a lot of time, because the print time and that would be hours and hours and hours and hours. But that is the plan for today. I will also run these little lanterns through here as well, which I've made some pretty cool little holders for, with magnets to keep them standing upright. So we're making our holes to put our power cables through. This doesn't have to be exact, and especially as we're putting it at the back of the buildings, this gives us plenty of room to be able to there we go. Gives us plenty of room to be able to put the cables behind. Some of the bits are going to be more visible, but we're going to mask that up with trees around here and stuff, and put another one here for our lamp post. These are obviously oversized, but what we're going to do is just fill it up with a bit of like snow blanket or something along those lines, and that just to plug the hole, and a bit of the artificial snow over the tops, and then now I'm going to see all of this unsightliness. Double check actually with one of the, where have they gone? Where have we put them? One of the lamp posts. We're looking for some lamp posts. There they are. Let's see if these fit through. Why disappointing these are the worms that come off from there, but no, that looks just about perfect to get through there, which is great. So yeah, that's good. Right, let's get these in place now. Actually, what I will do is I'll grab these magnetic holders that I've done and show you those. So these are the Lemax gas lanterns. They're lovely, they really are, and they don't give off much light, but it's a nice little touch. But my God, do these things fall over easy. They're a nightmare to try and position and finish. So much so that last year I actually gave up, because trying to run a wire for them, even underneath, they just wanted to fall over. The wire is so thin that I just thought if something happens to that, where like if I glue it down and I've got to try and lift it up, it's going to probably pull out, and then it's ruined. So I thought this year I was going to use them, and there must be a better way to do it. So what I've done is very crude sort of design. It's just a little cylinder. Try and get that to focus in. It's maybe I'll put it there. You can just about see it there. It's slightly smaller than the thickness of my polystyrene base. I think I did this at 24. I think I did it 24.3 mil. I think to allow enough room for the magnet to go on the top. And I'm just going to glue one of these little magnets, which are really cheap. Got them off of Amazon. If I can get them apart, they're very strong. Yeah, so one of these little magnets. Glue that into the top, another one underneath, basically, and then there's no way that's falling off, because this is like they're strong magnets, even though they're small. Okay, so we've got our magnets glued on now. What I tend to use, I mean, these are two different brands, but I use, rather than just normal super glue, I pretty much always use mitre glue. for that you would associate more so with woodworking. If you were mitering the joints together with architrave for skirting, stuff is so much stronger, so much better than normal super glue. You get a lot more for your money as well. Like typically a 50-gram pot and a can of activator, which makes it set virtually instantly, is about £9, about $12, and I think the equivalent of a normal super glue, probably for a tiny little tube, around about, I think it's 5 grams, is about £6. And you're getting all this much extra, and it works so much better. I mean, these should be glued now, but just to make sure, quick spray on there. The way you use it properly is that you would use the activator on the side of that you're not sort of gluing to. So i.e. where I put glue on the top of my magnet, I would spray the activator to the underside of the lamp, and then that would stick almost immediately once it was on there. So if this works, so you can see there's our lantern, and let's do it properly. There we go. So position it, and what we'll do, so we're going to put the wires underneath that. So they're sitting now, and we'll backfill that with a bit of artificial snow and everything like that. Obviously, it could make these a bit shorter so that they're not so proud. But it's the first time doing it, that's what I went with. But yeah, I think on reflection I'll probably do the next lot a little bit smaller, just to allow the other part to be a little bit flusher. But again, obviously, if you're putting in a sidewalk or pavement, then you'd want it that little bit higher anyway, so it could be stuck up on it, which is what I'm probably going to do. But yeah, what's a treat. So once that's fixed down, so they're not going to keep falling over. One thing I'm going to try and do, which is not going to be that easy on polystyrene, not certainly compared to like a high density foam, is to etch in like a block paving, probably like a free size block paving. I wanted something a bit like of a brindle colour. The idea was originally that I was going to be printing the pavement to go down on their flat. I was going to use the FDM printer to do that. That didn't work out as such because the FDM printer messed up. I think it was just too cold for it downstairs, and that's why I lost almost 2 days getting that working. So much so that a new one arrived, and but then the other one started working, so that one's going to have to go back. Although it's very tempting to just crack both of them out and get it printing and get this all done. That might end up happening anyway, but we're going to try and use the hot wire foam just to etch this out and see how it goes. And do the first few layers. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then plan B. But we'll see what happens. The other plan is probably okay just to leave it as it is, to be honest. There's so much contrast to colour within this baseboard already, but ideally I would like it to be a brindle sort of colour, a mixture of black and red. We'll give it a go. So we're a few layers in, and yeah, I think it's going to work out okay. It's going sort of deep enough to make those lines that once it's painted that really sort of shine out. All I'm doing each time is just shuffling the MDF board back and using that as a guide, and just really gently just running the hot wire foam brush sort of over it. I'll quickly just start in the corner. And just sweeping across, and we've got our guidelines there, and of course we've got to go the other way to fill it in, but it looks like this is going to work out nicely. So as you can see there, we've got our grids. I'm going to leave that, rather than try and do it too much and make it too small. And I think leaving it the size that they are, and they're decent size actually, that we're actually going to pick up some nice colours through there. First going to do a red wash, and then I'm going to do a black wash. And I think with some of this natural blacks that we've got in there, like I'm not sure if it's plastic or rubber or whatever it might be that's in this polystyrene, I think that's going to bring out some of the black that we want from the brindles as well. I think it's going to turn out quite nice. And then of course obviously the final black wash, and that will be to really fit out these grid lines that we got here. But yeah, I think that's going to come out really nice actually. I'm really pleased with how that's come out. And it's pretty simple to do, so just using a piece of MDF I've had laying around. I think probably from this base that I did last year actually. It's 18mm thick, 3/4 if you're imperial, and it was a good width. It's kind of spot on really for what we want compared to the scale of our people that's in the village. Yeah, I think this is going to come out quite nice. Okay, so for this next bit then we're going to add the red. We're going to play with all the toys now. We've got an air compressor and the gun obviously for when doing the buildings, so why not use it for this base here. One of the main advantages of using the airbrush is with the acrylic paint not watering it down, it will dry really, really fast, so we'll be able to just crack straight on then with the black wash afterwards. Kind of we've already got a black wash there, and that, but this way it'd be a lot quicker, so might as well use it. If you haven't got an airbrush and everything like that, doesn't matter, you can do it the normal method and just apply it by brush. It just take a little bit longer, but as soon as we got this, we might as well use it. So it's pretty clear to see where we've been with our red paint. The good news is that took about 2 minutes to do all that, and obviously we've gone over fairly. As you can see that there's like it's not an even coverage, because we don't want an even coverage, and it's not supposed to be a red paving and that block paving. It's supposed to be a brindled ones, because when we get the black on that, especially with the black that's already there, we should get a nice contrast there, which really sort of liven that up a bit and give it quite a nice warm feel. So it's been about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and this is already pretty dry. It's so I'm touching it and it's not really coming off. Even if it is a little bit wet, we'll get that blending effect. So black wash, we've got about half and half with acrylic paint and water, and we're going to put that on now. So it does take a little while to dry with polystyrene, it soaks in, but so we can get that going now. So we've done the black wash now on top of the red to get the brindled effect, which is looking really good. It's hard to pick out some of the lines on here. You can see it a bit better that way. It's phone doesn't really do it justice, I'm afraid. Some of them we may have to go back over as the black wash dries out. The red may prove to be a stronger colour, and we may need to go back over it. But when put the artificial snow on top of this, a lot of it's going to fall into these gaps anyway, and we get these natural lines, especially once we brush it through, and it really sort of pick out the fact that it's paving then. But it looks like there's a lot coming on with the colours there because of all the black splodges, but it'll be easier to see once the buildings are in place and the snow's there. So next we're going to work on this little platform that we're going to have as a little sort of town square part over there. We've got some facades that we're going to put on the back there. We've got the Wessex pub and the cathedral as well. It's a nice contrast, and the majestic tree in the middle there. So it looked like there's quite a lot going on there with the facades being a smaller background, like smaller buildings in the background as well. And these bits are what we had left over from last year. So it makes sense to salvage some of those. We're going to make some little stairways up there as well in a moment, and I think we'll get this bit finished, ready, and we can have that in place then before we start running our plugs and putting the buildings on. You can see I've marked out here what bit we're going to use for the steps, and if start doing that now. We put that down just nice and gently. Lift it up a little bit so we can get an angle. Same for the other side. Perfect. Go across here. Run that across to flatten that out. Take just a little bit off of that top as well, just so the steps aren't quite so steep. You see that we've got a channel in there as well, which is going to be ideal for when we put our handrails in. We've got something for it to rest on too. Yeah. So by the end of day 6 we have our brindled paving on the streets, and we've got some cables run through now, which is great. Got to get some of the other ones they come with their own adapters, and let's get them all connected. Got our base there. I'm going to put like a snow blanket and some trees around the edges on that one there. Our mountain standing on its end at the moment. Got it just about this. Yeah, so that'd be an end for day 6. There's obviously a ton of printing stuff that I'm doing as well. But yeah, on to day 7 we can actually start getting some buildings on this thing now, and it's finally going to look like it's actually progressing. It feels like it's been a bit of a slog to get here, and it doesn't feel like I've achieved that much. Obviously the mounting took a long time to do, and that's come out really great, so pleased with that. But I'll be happy when there's some buildings on here so it really takes shape. So let's do a little bit of soldering here, try and make a makeshift extension cable. For some reason I got one of these I think it was like 18-1 connectors and that off of Amazon that everyone's been posting. A great way to hook up your village and everything. But the arms on them are so short, probably not much more than an individual one of these, that unless they're directly next to each other, which you're not going to get 8 pieces next to each other, it's not really usable. So I'm going to make an extension cord so I can put that into the back of the this one into the back of the building, and then that one coming off of that, so that my spider connector can fit into this one, and that should give me the extra distance that I need then. So quick spot of soldering and we should be on our way again. Right, we're getting there. So I've got the mounting in place. I've run all my cables now, so it's like everything's in place, ready to go. I still need to put a snow blanket on. But it's going to be a lot easier to do that with all the cables actually in front. Got a horrible feeling that I'm missing some. Certainly missing one that was going to go over there. When I unboxed my North Pole mailroom, the power pack was missing. Obviously, I was putting everything away last year and was meticulous with how I was doing it, making sure everything was going right. But obviously managed to mislay a plug. So I've got to check every single box now just to make sure that one box hasn't got something extra in. And I thought I could always rob one from one of my other animated pieces that I'm not using. But I think I'm using every single animated piece that I've got. Speaking of animated pieces, you saw during the unboxing now, my favourite piece, the Sweet Works, worked for about 5 seconds, I think. So the Christmas Candy Works worked for about 5 seconds and then just stopped. Thank God it still lights up, which is something. And it sounds like the motor's whirring away in there, but this is a brand new piece that I bought in January of this year. I think it went on for about 30 seconds. I turned it off, put it back in the box, thinking great, that'd be lovely for this year, and it don't work. Typical Lemax. You think that I think there's probably about £1,000 worth of Lemax products here, and this one here. This is the second one I had because the first one didn't work. Lit up, didn't move. I think it's the first candy cane works. So the candy works obviously isn't working anymore. That's the second plaza that I had because the first one come basically disassembled. It was all rattling around in a box, not glued properly. The belt was stuck on the back there for the escalator. This one here, when I first got it, was missing one of the contacts magnets, and therefore wouldn't steam. But one of the nice people at the Max was kind enough to send me a whole new chimney. I did ask for just for a magnet so I could prepare it myself, but they sent me a whole new chimney piece, which was great. I still kept the other chimney piece just in case something falls out of that one. The Claws Chalet, I think that's a new one again this year. Touchwood working okay. That is the 4th North Pole observatory I've had. Never again. And that is the 2nd Nutcracker factory. That's not a great endorsement when you think of how much these things cost. To go through that many is insane, really. Yeah, that's a troubling thought that for something as expensive as they are, especially these new pieces now that are like £150 to £200, they don't last 2 minutes. It's a real downer. I'm probably really miserable at the moment just because this Christmas Candy Works doesn't work as it should do. There's a guarantee in the box and everything, but obviously I can't send it off now to get fixed because it's too close to Christmas. I might even try to do it myself in January, or I don't know. It's just a real shame, but yeah, you think more than half these pieces will be replaced several times. It's not good. Okay, so now it's going to be time to put the snow blanket on. I've got my favourite scissors here to be able to cut it easy, and we just add some bits on the mounting tops, a bit across the base there and there and there. Probably as well on the front here for the snow covered area, and maybe a little bit at the back and the sides, possibly a little bit on this edge, but I want to create a roadway, so we'll have to see how much room we got, and see how that works out. So these are some bits I had left over from last year, so may as well use them. Can always trim into shape. So here we go, it's coming along nicely. Got our snow covered mountain now. Really pops with the snow blanket on the top there, and haven't covered all of it because again this piece looking like it's functional, so we've got some walkways there and that where it looks like it's been brushed clean, and there's bits where it would fall, but we don't want to cover all of the detail obviously that we made for the mountain facing us. So there's bits on there like I've left, but they're heavily painted white on those ones, so it's like they're snow kissed. But really liking how this is taking shape. And we've got the snow sheet on the bottom now. What I've done with this one is, rather than a single layer that I've got up the top there, I've actually doubled up on this one. So as it's the forced perspective that we're a lot closer, and the snow should be a bit thicker and a bit brighter and bolder. So what I've also done is I've tucked it underneath, and that in between the polystyrene baseboard and the MDF, and that just so it pinches in, and that just create a few different ruffles like it would be like on a snowy edge. And when we have our gas station coming here, we've got enough thickness now that we can fold this back and contour this to give it a nice bit of shape. But yeah, really coming along now.
square, village square, and that's just behind the plaza with the cinema and the Lemax Centre Plaza. And of course this is our North Pole Village section here, a little bit one of all whimsical with all the Santas, elves and snowmen. So these are the types of snow that you can readily buy. The iridescent snow on the left hand side here it's almost like a shredded plastic. It's got a bit of a glitter for it. If you're doing a fairy village or something along those lines, maybe it'd work very well in that, or maybe some other use. I'm not quite sure. I don't particularly like that type of snow. This one I do. This is about, I think, £3 a bag, and I'd probably use 75 grams of this 100, so about 3/4 of the bag, and that was more than enough. It goes a long way. And this is our village now, so all the snow is down, trees down, everything's there, the cars, and I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. So that's the Polar Property estate agents there, and Santander or Santander, depending on how you want to say it. The car park here I used the Lemax floodlights that they use for their sporting things, and it turned out really well. Really pleased with how that lights up. It gives a really good effect. So I kind of tried to blend it between